Greetings YouTube. This is an edger. Particularly it's a rolling edger where you would ride it along the ground and then that would help you do an edging process. Never used one in my entire life. However, I think it's going to be an interesting build. This was the Better Homes and Gardens made in USA. Well, how do you like that? The Garden Tough Roto Edger. Self-sharpening blade. Really? I guess that's what they mean by this thing here? Which I don't think is actually doing anything of import at this point in time. And now I've got weeds on my bench, but yeah, so I'm going to disassemble this. But I've decided to set myself a challenge, and here's the challenge. I'm going to do a build, but the only pieces I can use for the build, except for fasteners, are the unit itself. I can use no additional metal, no additional wood, nothing. This is going to be the only component of the build. So that's my challenge. No one else has given me this challenge. This is one I've posed upon myself, but I find posing myself challenges can really get the creative juices flowing. So one of the first things I got to do is disassemble. I got to take this whole thing apart so I know what I got. I'm going to keep this here. Originally, this was $23, and then somebody had it at a yard sale where they put a $10 sticker on it, and then they put it by the side of the road because nobody bought it. And there was a big pile of leftovers from a yard sale, so I got this for $0. So this is a true scavenger's build. So I'm happy with that. That's cool. So first thing I got to do is disassembly. And then once I get it disassembled, then I can start figuring out what I want to do with this. I have a good idea, but it's not 100% yet. So let's get this thing apart and find out which components will be used, which components won't, and move on from there. So here we have the components. You don't need to see the shaft. You see what the looks like. It's over in the corner. This is the wheels that were on the thing. I don't think I'm going to have any use for those. They're just plastic. At least not for this build. I may have use for them in the future. You know, they do have rubber treads on them. Maybe I need some wheels. I got wheels. And we have this forky looking thing, which was, I think, this was supposed to be the self-sharpener, but this is really rusted. If you look at this thing, heavily rusted on one spot, some spots and not. I was like, looks like this thing was never friggin' used. And if you look at it this way, I don't know if you can get that, it's definitely got a bend to it. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. But they get the impression this thing jammed and they never got to use it again because I couldn't get it to turn. I tried. So yeah, that's not a great design. So this has a little bend in it. So if I end up using this, I may have to take that little bend out, which that's not hard. I have a vise. This is part of the wheel hub. It's very thin. I don't think I'm going to use this for this project, but who knows, I may. This was also part of this. I'm not 100% sure what this was supposed to do. Kind of thin, but might be a support of some variety. Then we have the two main forks that held the whole wheels together, as well as the blade. So I know I'm going to be using this. That's for sure. 100% for sure this is getting used. And pleasantly, it's got a hole here, which is great because if I decide to put this in line with something, I can open that up hole to a 1/4 inch, and then I can put a 1/4 inch here. I'm not going to use this one. Why am I not going to use that one? Because if I put fasteners this way, they'll be different sizes, and I don't want to open this up to that because because that could get sloppy. So it's better to have 2 1/4 inches like this. So if I decide to put this inside the shaft and make this a striking head, which I'm thinking of doing at this point, setting it up so that everything, all the points except the ones I'm not going to need, would probably take these 3 out to make my life a little easier. Just come across like that. And this would be one end, and then I'm thinking this is going to be the other. Though this does present some intriguing possibilities because of those forks. I kind of like the fork look. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these yet. We know what they do, like that. So do I need them to be that long? Or could I cut them down and make them a little more useful? Because if I cut from here to here, for say, just along that line, and do the same thing with this one, it's going to end up having to be slightly asymmetric, I think. I could then get, if I do a single cut, that gives me the maximum amount of edge. That makes them a fork. So I have to have two forks like this with points going in that end. And then this would stay there like that on the shaft, and I've already got holes for that. So that's not going to be an issue. And then that makes this end a fork, a literal fork, and dangerous in and of itself. And on the other end, I have this star-shaped blade as another striking head, in line with these, so that when you're done on the other end, it would be kind of like that. It would be obviously like this. So I have to make sure I get my holes for everything drilled. And for this on the other end, it's going to require a single hole for a relief cut, then make a slot, make sure the slot's thick enough, then drill two holes for the cross, to hold those two pieces of wood together, then the slot, two halves through here and here. This I can open up. This would be fresh. So these would get used, but I gotta tell you, that intrigues the hell out of me. It really does. I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna sit on this. I'm not gonna take this project any further today, mostly because it's getting close to lunchtime, which is usually my excuse for stopping something. But I'm gonna let this kind of percolate inside my skull and see where this goes. And again, the only thing I'm adding to this will be fasteners. I'm probably going to be using quarter-inch threaded rod, because I can make my own fasteners of any length with that, which is beautiful. Quarter-inch all thread, man, is so darn useful. I even made a holder for it. I even made a holder for my all thread. I mean, a holder to hold my all thread like this, which was kind of nice. I just had that kicking around. I picked it up someplace. It might have been salvaged for all I know. And these are the fasteners from the project, so if I can reuse some of these, I will, just for fun. Maybe I'll just use, because I can reuse them here without a problem, and this is then done. So I should be able to reuse some of those. The rest of them, not so sure. Because I'm hesitant to use that, or use that size, even though it's a nice, yeah, gonna have to play with that idea yet. Also, I have a bin here. I just picked up some of these bins for a really great price, so I've got a bunch of these bins and a bunch of fasteners, which is also cool. Alrighty. Alright, I'm blathering on enough. So let's let this sit for a week in my head, and we'll see what I can come up with. I'm pretty sure these are going to end up being forks on one end, like that. And then I'll end up cutting something like this, because that'll be stronger than if I come here. Because if I do that there, that puts the hole right underneath it, and I don't know if I like that or not. But if I do that over here, because this is a slot, this is not, that gets much shorter. You know what I mean? So yeah, this one is if they were both like this, that would be different, but they're not. There's a mix. All right. It's a pity I can't ask you folks for help. By the time you see this, it will be probably well over a year in the future from the time I filmed it. Today is October 16th, 2022. So anybody watches this and hears that date, tell me what date it is when you watch this thing. Alrighty, let's let this percolate into my skull for a little bit, and then we'll take it to the next step. So after pondering this for about a week, I have come to the conclusion that I will not be using these components in this particular build. I really want to use this in something. I just don't know what that something is going to be. This has no place in this build at all. And this one, it's too light. I'm probably going to use it as some kind of a cap or a spacer or something at some point. Just not going to do it. So it's going to be these two. And now I'm going to need to set up something to hold these in place, and then lay out the lines I wanted, and then cut them and grind them. It's going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be 2 cuts, 2 grinds. I'm not going to get super sharp on those. I don't need to. This is going to be a little bit more work, because I need to kind of draw a line here, cut across there, or nibble it out of the way, because I probably can't come in and with an angle grinder and do right across. I'll do as much as I don't want to hit these. So I'll take out as much as I can. Maybe I can go zinc, and then cross there, and then grind the rest out with the grinding wheel, so I can get that to be flat. And then that's going to be what sits in the end of the shaft. I'll have to make sure it's deep enough so that the top of the handle, the round handle, is going to come about here, right about to that point. I want that to be proud. And then there'll be a hole here, which I'm using. I think I have to open that up to 1/4 20. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I don't have a 1/4 20 at hand. I should have done that. I didn't. Actually, can I get one? No, I can't. I have the lid on the container too tight. So then that, and then I'll put another one in line here, about the same distance, and that's what's going to, hold the whole thing together. And then I will also have to put some points on these. This is not sharp in the least, and I think, yeah, I think if I take that one off, if I take these 3 off, that's like the most bendy bit, and so that would make my life a little easier, because you can see it is slightly cut. Whoever had this before me did not treat this well, even though it doesn't appear they had used it very often. Alrighty, so lay some lines out, lay some lines out on these, and then start the main cutting. This will be just 2 cuts. This is going to be multiple cuts, and then it's going to need to be drilled here. And then the major work, I think, is going to be getting the shaft to be capable of accepting this one, because the other end is already set. Okay, so let's suit up and start cutting. Alright, so both of these are now done. And you can see they are significantly different in length, and that's okay. Again, this is a post-apocalyptic aesthetic, and I kind of like it because when you put them on the shaft, it's going to go like that. It's kind of going to give it that corkscrew kind of vibe going on here. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I just ground those on my grinding wheel. The grinding wheel gives me a lot of control. It's not as fast as my flap wheel maybe, but I get a lot more control that way. And I didn't really put an edge on these much. It just comes to a nice crisp bevel. I mean, you'd hurt yourself if you want to run your finger on that, but you're not going to be shaving sharp on it. No, so those are finished. So now I have got a line set up here. So now we're going to see if I can use my angle grinder here and nibble away a bit at these without going past that line. At least that's the hope. So that's complete. Now I'm going to switch to my grinding wheel. Now, whenever you are changing that disc on your angle grinder, unplug it. You definitely do not want to have this switch, which is somewhat touchy, coming on when you're doing this. That's a bad day. That's a bad day. Also, when you take that off, do it over your table, because those things fall on the floor really easy. It's been my experience. Okay, we go back in. That's roughed in. I'm going to take it over to my belt sander and I'll clean that up a little. And then it will be time to start working on the holes. These are a little too small, I've discovered, so I'm going to have to open those up, at least open up that one to 1/4 and then I will start working on the hole here. I'm not going to actually start sharpen this until I'm finished. I don't need it any pointier than it already is, because that'll just make my life very, very unpleasant. So, to the belt sander and to clean that up just a little bit more. I opened that hole up to 1/4 inch and it's just barely a 1/4 inch. I had to use my specialty drill bit, which is designed to go through hardened steel, because this is hardened steel. Not real shocked on that one. This is actually going to take some nice points when I'm done. If I were sharpening this to you know, a real edge, it would probably take one, because it's, again, hardened steel. So now I'm in a situation where I'm going to have to set up where I want this to be in the shaft. I'm not going to put the second hole in here because it's going to be bad enough trying to get that located where I want by measurement. So that's going to be a pain in the butt. So rather than have to deal with this twice, I will try to get that hole where I want it, and then I will be able to find that hole because I will have already drilled it in the shaft. So here's the shaft right now. I've just got it clamped to my bench with my V-block here. Makes it easier to do round things. And I have got this set up because I want the blade to be in parallel with the 2 points. So that's where the points are going to be. You can see where the old mark is on the wood where they were mounted. And I've just got a punch here, a center punch here. And I use this on here to give me an approximate 90 degrees to that plane, and then I will be able to come in here and mark this distance. So let me do this left-handed. So I'll mark this where I want the 1/4 inch mark to be. 1/4 inch hole, rather, not a 1/4 inch, but a 1/4 inch hole as my relief cut, and that's going to be the hole I make that will then have it expand like that. Once I get that distance set, I will then do the same thing once I have this set up in the drill press itself. So that again, I will have everything as close to being perpendicular or in line, or however I want to do it. Obviously the 2 holes will be perpendicular this way, but the hole I have to drill for the slot, which I'm going to be doing, has to go this way. And that has to be done first. That's the most important thing. Everything else kind of comes off of that later when it comes to laying out that location as well as that location, which is obviously does not yet exist. So let's figure out that distance, and then I'll put a mark, set this up on my drill press, and then start drilling that hole for the relief cut. So here we have the hole that's going this way. That's going to be the expansion point for my slot, and I now have that drawn in place. And I use my Dremel Multi-Max with a broad cutting head here. It gives me a lot of cutting surface, and I'll be coming in there as close to vertical as possible. I will then be using an abrasive bit like this to open up that slot so it's wide enough to actually accept the blade. And this is the setup I use for drilling that across that hole. It's relatively stable. I've got this set up so that it's level with here, so I've got my outrider to hold the wood, and this is the clamp I'm using. And again, I picked this up for $8 at Harbor Freight. They're probably cost more now, but I paid $8 for them. Worth its weight in gold, man. This is so damn handy. And this is an aluminum V-block I picked up on Amazon, and I'm holding it in place with just a couple of 1/4-20s with some wing nuts, because it makes it really easy to get them on and off. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm going to do that off camera because I'm going to take a fair amount of concentration. I don't want to be worrying about the camera footage and such while I'm trying to get that finished. And again, I'm using my Miller's Falls V-Line mobile vise, also worth its weight in gold. Just a quick shot of that vertical slot I just made because it looks real pretty at the moment, and I am about to mess it up. But it does in fact look really good. I love my Multi-Max. I really do. There's a number of different varieties of this on the market. I think every major tool company has one. This is just a Dremel version. And I picked this up at a yard sale. I think I paid $10 for it. So yeah, awesome tool. Really highly recommended. I think everybody should have a vibratory tool like this. You can get into places that you're never going to be able to get any other tool into. It is just a very, very useful little gadget. I have to say I am loving this combination of cutting the slot with this wide blade here, and then using this carbide blade here to open up the slot, because it does a beautiful job. It's not perfect. Apparently I put a little bit of torque on there without meaning to, but this, perfect. Absolutely no adjustment required. As soon as I had the slot finished, the blade fits all the way into the bottom, and that's nice perpendicular, which is even better. Oh yeah, one thing I would like to point out, in case you guys don't have, you folks, I should say guys, you folks don't have one of these, get yourself a stool. Because this right here made this job a heck of a lot easier, because I could sit my butt down. This is just a 3-legged stool. It's got wheels on it. I don't know the brand. I should probably look at it. I should probably turn over and find the brand on it, because it's a nice little stool. I bought it at an estate sale for $3. So yes, I am an inveterate bargain hunter. I find them everywhere. So now that I have this done, I can now locate that hole and drill a 1/4-inch hole. I'm probably going to have to walk the hole through the wood up a little bit, because this is a very, very tight hole. I am literally going to have to screw the 1/4-20 hole through that, the 1/4-20 bolt through this when it's time to install it, because again, the hardened steel, it just cuts the hole I need and nothing more. And once I have that done, then I can drill both of the holes in this, and then once I have that to my satisfaction, I will then mark and drill that one, making sure that I am perpendicular to this and in line with that, which is going to be pretty easy because I've got 2 points of reference, well 3 points of reference to go from, so that should be no problem whatsoever, at least to the degree of accuracy that I need, because this is a post-apocalyptic themed build. But yeah, this combo here, this blade and that blade, making slots a heck of a lot easier than I used to have in the past. So these are now completed. I have both holes in here. I have both holes in here. I have this clamped down just very temporarily like this because I needed to make a mark on that the blade, so I needed to be above a solid object so I could hammer down. Otherwise I'd be using that, and I'll be using that when it comes to the final assembly because I can hold it down much more easily. That is kind of hinky with just one point, but it held it long enough for me to get the mark through. And I gotta tell you, if you guys do any kind of drilling of steel of any kind of hardness, get yourself a carbide bit like this. This is a no-name. I have no idea who makes this thing. It's just, I picked it up off of Amazon. It was like 16 bucks for a single drill bit, which is, I know it's pricey, but it drills through hardened steel like this beautifully. You just take your time. I use petroleum jelly, just generic petroleum jelly, because I can put that on the surface. And then once I get it below the surface, so I then have a cup, then I can use more conventional oil because I can just pour it in the cup that I've produced. And you just go down, let it, if it starts to squeak, you stop, let the oil go in, go back down, it starts to squeak, stop, and just a little bit at a time, steady pressure, squeak, stop, and then before you know it, you're all the way through, and it makes a really nice hole. I mean, that's a nice hole. Seriously, a nice hole. This is opened up a little bit now that I've actually had to screw. I screwed a bolt into that part way so I could get the line up for that mark. Okay, so now the last thing I need to do is put some points on these things, and then I'm finished. And it's assembly. So off to probably my grinding wheel if it'll handle the shape. I'm gonna go find that out that it works. If it doesn't work, I'll use my flap wheel on my my angle grinder. So here she is in all her glory. You got the points on there. They're not, I'm not going for razor sharp, but those are a heck of a lot sharper than they were when I started. And that goes all the way around. So I put a back point, a back grind on the tip here, and then a single bevel grind on that one. And that'll make it sharp enough for what I need. And then we got this end, which has got this, which looks a lot like a Roto-Rooter. Except this is not meant for drains. This thing came out so damn cool. I mean, just so damn cool. I am thrilled with this build. I did end up opening up the holes in here and using 1/4-20 because we oddly lost one of the nuts that went to the 2 bolts that had come with it. So I'm like, I can't find the nut. I don't know where the hell it went. So I just upgraded to 1/4-20s, and thankfully I had some 1/4-20 bolts with hex heads large enough in my collection to go through there. I mean, I could have made my own. I got 1/4-20 threaded rod, but I like the aesthetic of using actual machine bolts. This kind of makes me smile. Alrighty, so this is the Garden Tough Roto Edger, and I'm going to call this the Roto Battlestaff because that just seems to fit it really well. So, as a challenge to myself to make something out of this tool and only use the components of this tool, I think I have succeeded. The only thing I added to it were fasteners, and that's only the 4 bolts and 4 nuts. So that's not bad. And I mean, realistically, you could scrounge those in somebody's garage. In my house, you could scrounge hundreds and hundreds of those in my basement. There are lots and lots of options in my basement for fasteners. So yeah. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. My next project is going to make this bench more effective for my newest clamp I built. I realized I had made a mistake in its design, but I think I have found a solution, which will be awesome. So this has been the Roto Battlestaff. Thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it. If you don't follow me on Instagram and DeviantArt, you should, yes, but you should, because that is where I post permanent images of stills of my builds, and Instagram is where I post bargains, sneak previews, salvage stuff I find, and of course cute cat pictures. And who doesn't love a cute cat picture? So thank you for being here, and I hope you come back for the next one.